Ready to go, guys? First game, 28-7 win over Tulsa. But obviously first game got things to clean up. But start 1-0, which that's always the big push, the goal. Look forward to Western Michigan coming in here. Defense played outstanding, as I said on Friday night. Got some things to clean up on offense. Too many mistakes. Too many situations where we start in the hole right off the bat, whether it's a holding call or an offsides call on P and 10 or 1st and 10. Special teams, probably a mixed bag in that case. I thought we played extremely hard, but made some mistakes with penalties, but had some positive things. Matt Coughlin goes 4 for 4, and some different things going on there in terms of intensity. Had a couple returns, those type of things, but got to eliminate the penalties. And we look forward to Western Michigan. I can say this: the football is a game of effort, toughness, and knowing what to do. And half of our team figured that out, half of it didn't. We will make sure that other half gets figured out this week. So that's my message to our football team. With Western Michigan coming in, I think they have a very good football team based on last week and what everybody's seeing coming out of the MAC conference. Wasik is an outstanding quarterback, makes all the plays, makes the throws. Got a good group of receivers. Bellamy's an outstanding tailback, ability to run the football. Be important to shut that down. On the defensive side of the ball, a lot of movement. Spears at linebacker, very active. Fayad is a defensive end that's a powerful guy, quick, disruptive, and we'll get ourselves ready to play. So I'll take some questions. Yeah, Jack.
With all the things on defense and special teams you mentioned, how important is it to get more push up front from the offensive line? I think the tailbacks were 30 carries, 67 yards.
Yeah, not good enough. We've got to get on the right people. And, as I just said, if you have nowhere to go, you got to play with effort and toughness. And too much of that was, to me, was lacking. And I'm going to call it as I see it up here right now. So we've got to send a message to our football team. And we've got a long season ahead of us, and we can play much better than that. But I was disappointed in the effort when I see guys running routes that are not at full speed. I see guys blocking at the point of attack, throwing a shoulder in there and not addressing a defender. It can't happen. We predicated ourselves on being tough here. I don't care any way you cut it. And so that message is going to get sent. Whether it's public or not, I'm sure nobody appreciates us running the ball for 67 yards, especially the guy in charge. So we'll fix that.
Mark,
Yeah.
Going back to the offensive line a little bit more, any update on Cole's status or where you feel, I guess?
Cole needs to practice full go before he can play. He's sort of in and out. So that's, really don't like to talk about injuries, but he's in that situation right now where he's got to practice full go before he can play.
And with AJ not playing?
I'm talking about injuries.
Less about that, but more about what that did in terms of shuffling line for a guy who's been there since the spring practice.
We shuffled guys around a little bit, but Matt Carrick got his first start, which talked a lot about the fog of war, and we had Colonel Barris in, so from the Marines talked to us this spring, and he's exactly right. Plane will not survive contact. So at times, you get out there and you have great intentions. I'm not saying our intentions are bad. We had great intentions, but we didn't get on the right people, or we lacked in terms of physicality. And this game demands that. We had a devotion. We have a devotion every day in our staff meeting. Today's devotional, Chuck Bullock put on a video of Buck Nystrom. This game demands that. It's different than tennis, it's different than basketball, it's different than any other sport, maybe with the exception of rugby. Okay, this game demands that. And we need to get that. Not from one side of the ball, from all sides of the ball, not from one guy, from all 11 guys on the field at every specific time. And that's my message.
Mark, there seems to be a local panic about the offense, but your tone today suggests that that's not an overreaction. You're concerned about it.
No, I'm not in a panic situation about
Oh,
it.
offense.
You
You
know,
are
that's-
concerned about the
You know, I'm concerned about our defense too. I'm concerned about every aspect of our football team. And when we see something that's not going correctly, they're gonna try and adjust and make corrections. They're not gonna come in here and you know, sandbag it or anything like that. I don't think they ever have. So we need to get busy. You guys can all tweak that out. Modern society.
The offensive line, I think it was 4 different groups that you guys got in there in the game. Was that by design, or was that just in the middle of the game and say, hey, let's give this a shot, let's give this a shot? Or was that sort of predetermined that we want to get multiple different groupings?
I think we got 8 guys or 7 guys that we played in there in different ways. And so we moved people around basically according to, you know, what Coach Bowen wanted to do and wanted to give everybody opportunities. Whether it be at guard or center or whatever, I think we maintained who our tackles were.
Sorry about that. We saw Ryan Armour get carted off the field, and obviously Jude is listed as the starter at long snapper. Is that the way you plan on rolling with that? And what's it like taking a true freshman walk on, putting him in that position?
Well, you know, Ryan was a true freshman walk-on at one point, and so was our previous snapper, and that's pretty much the way we've done it. You gotta come and prove it. You know, we've lost Ryan Armour for the year, so he is out. And it's a tough injury, but he's recovered mentally from it. He'll have to have surgery. So it's season ending. And Jude is a guy that, you know, was, maybe he's a little bit, you know, he was the heir apparent. He's a good snapper. We recruited him with that idea that he would be the guy, so he's just gonna have to pick up the slack a little earlier, but he went in and snapped very well. He's done very well in practice, and I have no regards in terms of how he's gonna do. I think he'll be outstanding.
Mark, there was, obviously we're talking about execution and guys playing hard, but there was a lot of talk in the offseason about changing the offense with Brad coming in to take over. What would you say to people that watched that first game and felt like they saw the same offense that they've seen before?
What I would say is people see the product, they don't understand the process. They see football as a game, hey, run that play again, which gained 20 yards. Running backs have to break tackles at times, they have to be able to run through the smoke. When there is something, you have to be able to block the point of attack. There are things that have changed, but football is a game of repetition, like I keep saying. You know, you're not gonna just say, hey, let's run that play, nobody else has ever run that before. I don't think that exists in this sport. I think to believe that, or people are a little bit naive. You know, this is, as I said earlier, this is about hard work and execution. You know, in terms of, you know, you've got to make, you know, not holding our coaches accountable as well in this. It's about play selection and play call, play selection. And we need to do a better job in that as well, so I'm not shying away from that responsibility. But at the end of the day, there's only so many ways to skin a cat. At the end of the day, you better skin a cat. There's another good quote for you.
I'm gonna ask real quick
You
too.
write that down.
Elijah Collins, did you see a little bit more spark from him?
I like
A little
Elijah
bit first.
I thought he ran well. I thought Elijah ran well.
And
Get more touches.
I know you don't talk about injuries, but Anthony Williams, I assume.
Anthony will be able to play for us. But he's, you know, I don't know how the term I use is nicked up. You know, he needs to get himself squared away. He may be available this weekend. He may not be. It just depends on how his week goes.
Mark, we just mentioned Collins, but you also had Russ Nelson go out there, make a couple plays, Nailers out there. Do you look to get some of those speedier guys out there, more touches? You mentioned route running, you weren't thrilled with that either, but do you look to mix that up?
Play more guys, give everybody opportunities. That's good. Enjoyed this one. Sure everybody did. Yes, Jim?
The running backs, are they doing a good job of running to where the play is blocked? Is that something that's still in progress? They were young running backs last year.
At times, it looks like they're in flow. At other times, you know, they were causing the problem as well. So it's all inclusive. No one guy gets it done. No one guy does not get it done. It's all inclusive. You know, the bottom line is we need to get it done. You know, I was very impressed with our crowd on Saturday night, and also very impressed with the enthusiasm of the crowd. So it should be a great game day atmosphere this next week. I also think before I walk out of here, I'll irritated. You know, I think our defense played outstanding. A lot of takeaways, very difficult to run the ball on, very difficult to pass the ball on, and really covered all the bases. When you look at it, we had 9 3-and-outs, we had 7 sacks, took the ball away from them 3 times, blocked another punt, had a safety in addition to that, scored a touchdown. All you could ask. And so they played outstanding, so we got the tails of 2 halves. As I told our football team, you know, yesterday, you got the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly was the penalties. And we talk about penalties over and over and over again. Some of them are forced penalties, PI or something like that. Sometimes a holding call, and some of them are unforced. We got to limit the unforced penalties, the offsides, jumping off sides, those type of things. We had too many of those and put us immediately in situations. There were some good things on offense. We had an 18-play drive, and we got to finish. We're in the red zone 2 times on 4th and 1. We got to get to 1 yard, like I said. Get to 1 yard, you go in and score a touchdown. That game's probably 42-0 or 42-7. Okay, everybody feels a little happier. Okay, but it is what it is. And this is a result-oriented business. I understand that. So we have to make sure that we're pushing forward like in that endeavor. And I got to send a message. Okay, and sometimes I get a little irritable before I walk into these press conferences, so I take it with me. Sometimes I get irritable walking out. Okay, I take that with me too. But we're going to get it right.
Mark, you left tackle, obviously Kevin had his first start there. How did you grade out for that? And can you kind of go into the philosophy of maintaining your 2 tackles with him and Jordan versus switching the guys in the interior?
Well, I think Kevin is an extremely strong, physical type of guy. I thought he played okay. I thought he played okay for the first time out there at tackle. He had 2 holding calls, which sort of negates his play. I saw a lot of holding calls, to be quite honest with you, across the nation this past week. And also, I guess I would add that we're 1-0. And there are a lot of people out there that are 0-1. A lot of people wish that they could have played poorly a little bit and still won. So that's the message as well. We won the football game, and we won the football game decidedly, I felt. But you know, you're chasing perfection, and you're always trying to get better. So that's what we have to do. But I think that, you know, you got to be solid at the offensive tackle, and you know, he gave us that opportunity to do that. You know, with AJ out at the time and Cole out at the time, that was the best case scenario, and he'd been working there for 10 days or so.
Mark, with a win this weekend, you would tie the school record for victories. I'm wondering if you're able to sort of appreciate the road you've taken to get this point and what that milestone would mean to you.
Oh, yeah, taking the road less traveled. Okay. No, you know, I'm trying to get better. I've said that. I've talked about that before. I believe that that's something that a lot of people have worked to do. And, you know, when we get there, we'll get there.
Mark, defensively, obviously you kind of know what you're getting from Kenny and Joe and Raekwon, guys that have produced consistently, but to see the way Jacob Hannessy played today, how important can it be for this defense that now you've got another guy on the other side who can be so
Yeah, you know, Jacob's done a great job, I think, conditioning himself and getting himself ready this year. He's dropped about 20 pounds, so he's much quicker. His technique has improved greatly. He's now a redshirt sophomore. You know, I think he played extremely well. You know, it's really hard to point to anybody on defense who did not play well. They all graded winning. I thought Xavier played very well, and you know, Antoine Simmons played very well. And, you know, those are I believe 3 of the guys that are newer. You know, that are new inserts into our starting lineup. So, but defense played well. They need to continue playing well. Set the tone.
Coach Perlis used to always talk about playing a MAC school. Those are all kids that think they should be on your roster and they have an extra motivation. How do you talk to your guys about that, Mark, about playing a Michigan directional school?
Well, I think our guys will have motivation this week. What do you think? We'll be motivated. But I agree with you. You know, they're going to come and play hard, and they always have. They always have. So I've got a great deal of respect for the Mid-American Conference, and in particular Western Michigan, and what they've been able to accomplish.
Mark, you didn't really go overly deep with the defense either. A lot of the starters played a lot of snaps. I guess how much of that is just based on trust with that, with those guys versus some of the backups? And secondly, at defensive end with Camper out, do you envision that staying kind of a three-man, or do you want to expand that, or?
Well, first of all, we only had 20 snaps in the second half, and they only got 1 first down, so it was sort of hard to play a lot of players because they were going 3 and out majority of the time, so, which is a good thing. So we'll play guys as we get to it. You know, Jack will be back soon. And we've got other guys that will be able to work in there, but we just played 3.
Last one right here.
Mark, 2 quick things. With the returners, with Jalen, seems to be a kick and punt returner now, small sample size. I'm just curious what you saw from him in the game, what you've seen from him in camp that makes him a fit with that spot, and also Josh Butler, the 2 PI calls. So were those concerning to you, or are those just kind of the way defensive backs play in the system in terms of being aggressive and being one-on-one positions like that?
First of all, Jalen is an exciting returner. He's exciting with the ball in his hands. I thought he had a pretty good return game this Saturday. And 1 called back with a penalty, and I thought our punt returns were pretty good, and we blocked the punt. We had 2 penalties on 2 aggressive penalties, but they were penalties. And then as far as
Josh Butler, is
Josh Butler, you know,
your reaction was
probably the one mistake in the game was the late hit by Kenny, which gave him that opportunity. Otherwise, we'd have been off the field. The ball was up. They stacked the receivers. The ball went up. You know, got a chance to make a play on it, but he's a little out of position on it, so he does interfere. They still make the catch. And on the other one, I think it was a case of, you know, a little pushing both ways, and he went up and a simultaneous catch. They awarded it to the offense, but they did call for PI on that one as well. But you know, those are things that are going to happen. Those are plays in a game that they just happen. You know, you got to take that. But I was impressed that he played it aggressively, and he's got good deep ball judgments. We just got to continue to play. You know, things like that are going to happen because we're going to play deep. That's all good.